About 3:30 in the morning local. Getting ready for our first feed of the week in about 30 minutes. I'm gonna be working off the satellite truck for the next 2 weeks. Pretty excited. I haven't been down to Tijuana in years, and we may go today. See how the schedule plays out.
Exclusive reporting on illegal immigration at our southern border. News Nation correspondent Robert Sherman, he's traveling the entire length of the U.S.-Mexico border, and Robert actually begins his 2-week trip at a border crossing in San Diego, joining us right now live. Robert, tell us a little bit more about this trek that you're taking and what you plan to do.
Good evening, good morning, Adrian. And we're starting, as you said, at a very significant border crossing. Behind us is the San Ysidro leading into Tijuana port of entry, the largest here on the U.S.-Mexico border and the largest here in the Western Hemisphere. This is where our journey begins, but it is not where it's going to end. We have a little less than 2,000 miles ahead of us coming from here all the way to the Rio Grande Valley of Texas. But our goal is to see all of these different regions of the U.S.-Mexico border, and we want to introduce you to new perspectives and share with you different stories from people who live this every single day. That's our goal, is to not only focus on the typical narratives that we see talked about with the U.S.-Mexico border, or not to necessarily hear from the same voices that we typically hear from, but to expand our horizon a bit. So we'll be starting here in San Diego County, California, heading east for the next 2 weeks, where we'll be ending in Brownsville, Texas next Friday. So a long journey ahead of us. Adrian?
You know, we've obviously watched you on ride-alongs and working with Border Patrol agents along the border as they conduct busts or find people who are trying to cross here illegally and smuggle in others, usually at nighttime. High-speed chase is involved. Are you concerned at all about your safety?
No, not in the slightest. And we see the law enforcement presence, you know, whether it's down in the Rio Grande Valley or out here. There's never been a moment in which we haven't felt safe doing what we've been doing. But we do have the opportunity in order to get up close and personal to a lot of the action and show this to you all and to the viewer. And we're really excited to do that over the next couple of weeks.
All right, Robert, we look forward to your reporting. Thank you so much, giving us perspective we don't typically see.
13:45 local time. We shot a package this afternoon. I guess it was early morning. I'm all twisted here. Early this morning, and then I had breakfast, which I guess substituted for breakfast and lunch. Then we get some evening live shots. I don't know if we're doing 2 or 3. I'm going to set up a reflector on this stand. It's windy, so I'm not going to put it in place until it's almost go time. And the sun's kind of toppy but backlit. So I was gonna silk it, but then I thought, the sun's far enough behind, we'll be okay. And I didn't want to risk putting more things in the air in the wind. We're feeding from the truck, but we're going over the truck's TVU unit, bonded cellular instead of satellite. We do have time booked. We can use the dish whenever we need it, but it's simpler to go TVU. Once we get out in the remote areas, we're going to be relying on that uplink, and we've got 2 satellite phones in there as well for comms and IFB.
Four and a half away, got it.
Roger that.
Adrian, good morning to you. Behind us is the port of entry here in San Ysidro, the largest port of entry along the U.S.-Mexico border and here in the Western Hemisphere. Well, good morning from San Diego, California. I'm Robert Sherman, border correspondent for News Nation. Exciting day today. This is day one of our Communities in Crisis border reporting series that we're going to be going through over the next couple of weeks. We're starting today in San Diego County, California. Actually, behind us is the border crossing into Tijuana, Mexico, the largest in the Western Hemisphere. We're starting here, and our goal is to work our way east along the U.S.-Mexico border, all the way to the Rio Grande Valley over the next couple of weeks or so. And we're planning to tell stories along the way. And when you look at a lot of coverage of the U.S.-Mexico border and immigration, you see the same towns on air, you hear from the same local officials, you hear from the same pundits and talking heads. We're really hoping to change that during this series of reporting. We're hoping to introduce you to new places that you've never heard of, new faces that you've never seen, new voices that you've never heard from, to give you a more broad perspective of what is going on here along the U.S.-Mexico border. So I'll give you a quick little tour of our whole operation here. This is our photographer extraordinaire, Dave Winters, who's getting our live shot set up here. This is really cool. This is our border truck, which we do not have a name for yet. If you have any ideas, definitely feel free to email us. I'll show you a little bit of this in here. Very high tech. So you have this monitor that is right here. There's a number of cameras that are inside of this unit, 2 that are sitting on top of the truck, another 3 or so that are inside. Actually have the ability to go live on the air using this truck alone, not just with the satellite dish, but some of the other technology that's inside of it as well. So it really gives us an opportunity to travel across the U.S.-Mexico border and offer very unique, consistent reports from the roadways itself, which we're planning to do over the next couple of weeks. So we're really excited for this opportunity and this collaboration with Border Report. You can find all of our reporting on newsnationnow.com and borderreport.com. We're excited to share all these reports with you over the next couple of weeks.
That's going to be my promo shot right there on the gimbal. Oh, I love it. We'll put the dish up. I need more big wides. I'm on a 24 mil. It's going to be tighter than this. Yeah. I'll push in. They must be putting a gate in right there. They're definitely putting a gate in right there.
Robert's here with us right now from Yuma, Arizona, to share the story of an Army veteran who was reunited with his family following 10 years of being deported to Mexico, right?
That's right, Adrian. A non-citizen U.S. Army veteran was removed from the country, but is now back here, stateside. With a big smile plastered across his face, Mauricio Hernandez Mata came emerging out of the San Ysidro port of entry. First came the hugs from his attorney and those who helped him get here. And then, the big one, his mom. This is Mauricio's first time home in the U.S. in over 10 years.
I think I'm going to wake up right now, and I'm still going to be in Mexico at the border, so that's how it feels. It's still so unreal.
Mauricio is a U.S. Army veteran who served in over 100 combat missions. Upon leaving the service, he expected to be granted his U.S. citizenship. Instead, he wound up deported out of the country after being convicted for drug and firearm possession.
Immigration laws are unforgiving. They're extremely harsh. Things that are misdemeanors can be what's deemed in immigration law as an aggravated felony.
Andres Kwan, an attorney with the ACLU, says he sees a lot of veterans, especially those with PTSD like Mauricio, make mistakes and end up deported. The ACLU tells News Nation it's impossible to keep a completely accurate count, but they know there are thousands of deported U.S. veterans currently living in over 50 countries. Mauricio is the first to tell you he's made mistakes, but today he's just thankful to be hugging his family and standing in the U.S., the country he loves. So the Biden administration has pledged to bring some of these deported veterans home, but the ACLU tells us that this process has been slow. And right now, they're just taking this one veteran at a time. Adrian?
And that's another one of those very complex stories where there are people who you would say, this person served our country, we're so very grateful. And then there are others who would say, there are penalties, there are punishments for behavior that is not befitting a soldier. But still, what a story, what a reunion. What's coming up with your tour of the border tomorrow?
Well, this morning we're joining you from Yuma, Arizona, which is what's known as the Yuma Gap. You'll see lots of gaps in the border fence in this area, but really a tale of two different regions. We were in San Diego yesterday, which is known as having the most infrastructure, the most well-defended portion of the border. This is one of the more weak points along the border where many in Border Patrol have been outspoken, saying that they need more resources down here. So we're going to be diving into that later today.